This is bread, a food humans have been making for over 10,000 years. Flour, water, yeast, and salt. That's it. But today, if you flip a loaf of sandwich bread in an American supermarket, you might find a chemical called azotocarbonamide. This same weird chemical is used in Europe as an industrial material for rubber and plastic to make them flexible, like yoga mats. And here's the scary part. During baking, azotocarbonamide breaks down into compounds that lab studies have linked to respiratory problems and immune disruption. Because of that, the European Union and Australia completely banned it as a food additive. But in the US, the Food and Drug Administration says it's generally recognized as safe. Why? Because it makes bread rise faster, look whiter, and last longer on shelves. In other words, more profit. But people started noticing. And under massive public pressure in 2014, big companies like Subway and McDonald's announced they'd stop using it. But its use in mass-produced bread never really stopped. And this story isn't just an exception. It's one of hundreds of bizarre stories about the scale and the ingredients of the ultra-processed food we consume every day. But when you pull on the strings of these stories, they lead you to the same answer every single time. A massive, hidden system way more complicated than you think. A system that was, and still is, the main reason real food was replaced with the fake food we eat today. Driven by money, political pressure, and more shocking, manipulated science. How does this system work? Who's behind it? And how did food become a financial product before it became nutrition? To answer these questions, we first need to understand, what is fake food exactly? And how did America become the imitation nation while the rest of the world said no? You see, in the United States, imitation food is actually a legally defined category. It looks like food, it's sold like food, but it is chemically or structurally altered to be cheaper, longer lasting, and more marketable. Take a look at your supermarket shelves. You'll find pasteurized processed cheese product, not just cheese, non-dairy whipped topping, bacon bits with zero bacon, even that 100% cranberry juice. If you look closer at the tiny font, it's a juice blend. And I get it. Part of this comes down to economics. But this shift from nutrition to chemical engineering has created a massive gap between the US and the rest of the world. If we do a simple comparison with Europe, we find that on average, Europeans get 25% of their daily calories from ultra-processed food, while in America, the rate exceeds 55% in adults and 62% in children. That means more than half the food you consume daily provides almost no real energy or nutrients. And the problem isn't just in the scale of consumption. There are thousands of food additives allowed in America. Many of them are completely banned in Europe. And you might ask, why does America hesitate and refuse to ban them too? The reason America claims is that having studies showing a substance might be dangerous isn't enough to ban it until it's proven 100%. Unlike Europe, which focuses on early prevention, a policy that puts people's health as a priority over corporate profits. And the result of these policies appears clearly in the statistics. The average American is 3 times more likely to become obese than a European. Americans between 50 and 54 are 2.25 times more likely to develop heart disease and significantly more likely to develop diabetes. And these numbers aren't just a coincidence. Ultra-processed foods, especially in America, are chemically engineered to rely on refined vegetable oils and high-fructose corn syrup. This formula tricks your brain. It gives you massive calories that are nutrient-poor, but it never gives you a satiety signal. And the result is an endless cycle of consumption, which explains why Americans top the global obesity list and a long list of chronic diseases. And everything we've mentioned so far might seem illogical to you and make you think the American government is asleep and unaware of the scale of disasters its policies cause. But the truth is much darker than that. And the answer to where's the US government from all of that and why real food is being eliminated isn't found in health laboratories. It's found in politicians' checkbooks inside Washington. Today, we live in a food system controlled by 10 companies. Yes, 10 giants own most of the brands you see in the supermarket, from soft drinks to breakfast cereals, all the way to your kids' food. These companies aren't just food producers. They're the biggest lobbies in the world. And in America, whoever has the money controls the politics. Between 1998 and 2020, ultra-processed food companies spent over $1.15 billion on lobbying. And this amount is larger than what's spent in other sensitive areas like gambling and alcohol. And after knowing where this money goes, everything will make sense to you. A large portion of this money goes directly to funding carefully selected politicians' campaigns. After they win sensitive positions, they push in every way possible to keep the Food and Drug Administration regulations flexible enough for the interests of the companies funding them. As an example of this, we found this strange story. In 1991, a man named Michel Taylor moved from his office as a lawyer for Monsanto, a company specializing in producing genetically modified seeds and livestock growth hormones, to become Deputy Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. And in a move that sparked widespread controversy, Taylor himself oversaw drafting policies for bovine growth hormone produced by his former company. And while Europe was banning this hormone due to studies linking it to serious health risks for humans and animals, Taylor's policy in America stated that milk injected with this hormone doesn't need any clarifying label because it's chemically identical to natural milk. This decision wasn't just an administrative procedure. It protected Monsanto's market share and saved them losses estimated at billions of dollars. And as soon as his mission at the Food and Drug Administration ended in 1994, Taylor returned once again to hold a high position at Monsanto, completing one of the most famous revolving door cycles in American food history. The second piece of the puzzle is buying dubious scientific research. In 2016, there was a dentist named Kristen Kearns who found a cardboard box in a library at the University of Illinois. It turned out the box contained secret letters, internal memos, and canceled checks dating back to the 50s and 60s. All these documents revealed what became known as Project 226. The documents revealed that in 1965, studies were beginning to clearly indicate that sugar was the #1 culprit behind clogged arteries and heart disease. And at that time, sugar companies felt they were in trouble. And here, what's known as Project 226 was born. The Sugar Industries Trade Association paid $6,500, equivalent to about $50,000 today, to 3 senior scientists at prestigious Harvard University, in exchange for writing a scientific paper that completely exonerated sugar and threw all the blame on fats. And indeed, the scientists did it. They engineered the results. They deleted studies that condemned sugar and amplified studies that attacked fats. And they published their paper in one of the most powerful medical journals in the world. And from that moment, human history changed. The whole world believed the lie. The American government started promoting a low-fat campaign. Companies removed fats from our food. And because the taste became bad, they replaced them with massive amounts of sugar and corn syrup. The story didn't end up here. One of those scientists who took the money was Dr. Mark Hegsted. He later moved to become head of the nutrition department at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Yes, the person who helped mislead the results became the #1 person responsible for setting dietary guidelines for the entire American population in 1977. The result was catastrophic. As you can see in this chart, obesity and diabetes rates exploded in a way unprecedented in human history. We lived 50 years in a paid scientific lie, only to discover in 2016, after the secret documents were revealed, that our dietary system wasn't built on science. It was built on bank checks from the 60s. But despite people knowing the dangers of ultra-processed food, its consumption continues to rise. And you find that many people want to stop consuming it, but they can't. A lot of these people describe it like a cigarette addiction. And that's exactly what brings us to the last piece of the puzzle. To understand why you can't stop eating this food, you need to know who designed it. In the 80s, America's tobacco giants, led by Philip Morris, acquired major food companies like Kraft and General Foods for billions of dollars. The suspicious thing is that these companies didn't just acquire them. They transferred their expertise, resources, and employees from tobacco to their food companies. And they applied the same cigarette engineering to food to make it more addictive. They designed what's called the bliss point in food, using colors, artificial flavors, and a crunchy texture to manipulate your dopamine hormone, exactly like nicotine does. And the goal was clear? You open the bag and can't close it until it's finished. And if you look at this recent study from the University of Kansas, you can see that. Foods acquired by tobacco companies were 29% more likely to be ultra-processed and full of fats, sugar, and salt compared to any other companies. And in the end, perhaps it's time to accept the idea that politics, in many of its stations, doesn't move according to facts alone, but by power and money. And when a single industry spends $1.15 billion on lobbying over 2 decades, it's not strange that legislation is delayed, facts are distorted, and products turn into disguised addiction. Since the beginning of the ultra-processed food revolution in 1977 until today, 8 presidents have taken turns ruling the United States. And despite their different parties and promises, nothing has changed on your plate. In fact, things have gotten worse. So maybe the best solution is to focus on changing your daily choices and habits instead of waiting for political change that seems like it will never come.